hospitals, physician practices as well. This is what you need. This is HiLite Health. There's a problem in the system we cannot ignore. Out-of-pocket expenses for the patients has really soared, and they can't pay to balance the treatment they can't afford.
Welcome to the HiLite on Healthcare video series. In this episode, Bryan Graven talks with Mark Miller, principal of Holos Health, about the challenges practices are facing in healthcare today.
Hello, everyone. This is Bryan Graven, one of the principals here at HiLite Health. We have another podcast for today. Really excited about our next guest. His name is Mark Miller, represents Holos Health. HiLite and Holos, they've been partners for a little over a year or so now, working together on a lot of business development opportunities. And I know Mark, great guy, has a tremendous background in healthcare, and really looking forward to this conversation with Mark. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, thanks for having me, Brian. Appreciate it.
Great.
Glad to be working with you and glad to be part of your podcast today.
Great, thank you. So Mark, one of the things we just want to kind of dive into, the podcast and want to understand what Holos is all about. Can you give us kind of an overview of what Holos is, what you're doing, and some of the value adds you're adding to the medical market?
Sure. To just give you the quick background on us as a company, my partner Tom and I started Holos about a year ago with the idea of taking our experience in the place of operational IT for medical practices and essentially setting ourselves up as a consultant particularly for independent physician practices. That's kind of been our focus or our sweet spot, if we have one. The idea is to look at medical practices to help them find tools that make them more operationally efficient, and connect them with business partners like HiLite Health that allow them to take some of the manpower issues that they have and turn those into IT solutions. And so we've spent a great deal of time really trying to kind of get familiar with the opportunities that are in the marketplace, what the various solutions look like. We've literally vetted hundreds of companies, and now the last several months have been involved in connecting them directly, the companies we've chosen to work with a number of our physician practice clients. So
looking forward, and I know you are kind of keying on different markets. What are some of the focal points moving forward, and what markets excite you right now?
Well, my partner and I's background is heavily set in orthopedics. We spend a lot of time focused on that market. He also has a deep history of working in general primary care. Mm-hmm. So as a company, in general, we kind of focus in those two zones, which, I'm excited about working in those two zones because we know them well. With the HiLite financial program, particularly the patient financing aspect of the HiLite Pay platform, I've gotten a lot more excited about a whole different area, which is in the area of recovery treatment facilities.
Okay.
And I can kind of tell you why in a few.
I think I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So I am a person that's in long-term recovery. I've been in recovery for over 13 years. And have had my life changed dramatically by that, for the good. One of the things is I started looking at the HiLite Pay program. I started looking at a number of my friends, but really I thought a little bit about my own history. But more importantly, I've kind of seen it play out with people because I'm an active member of the recovery community in my town. And I meet a lot of people who are new in recovery literally every day. And one of the areas that I see a big sort of I guess a pain point was a term you used, and I think it fits here. For the individual who is trying to go into recovery, these are typically people who are either dealing with alcoholism or substance use disorders of other type. And there's three types of people who end up on an economic scale who end up entering treatment facilities. The first is the person who's come close to losing everything. And has nothing. And as a result of the fact that they've probably lost their job, lost family, lost their home, whatever it may be, they are now in a situation where they're on the state's healthcare system. There are programs for those folks to get them the type of treatment that they need to begin the process of recovery, which is around initially getting them to the point where they can safely quit using whatever it is they're using. And then they move into the more long-term recovery options after they've spent 30 days in most cases in some sort of a hospital type setting.
Sure.
So if you fit into a certain situation, the state government and federal government have funds available to help those people get treatment. Then there's the folks who work for large corporations who have great insurance, and they go in and they end up having most of their care is paid for through private health insurance, and those patients have an option as well. And then you've got this group, which can be a fairly large group, that are people that are out there struggling with alcoholism and drug addiction and wanting to make a change in their life, wanting to get this opportunity to start over, but they don't have maybe they're self-employed or whatever the situation is. They don't have the benefit of the big corporate healthcare policy that covers their expense, and they do too well. I mean, they have too many things. They haven't lost enough yet that they would qualify for any kind of government assistance, so they're left paying for this treatment out of pocket. As being a guy that had run my own company at the time that I decided to go down the path of recovery, I was one of these guys that was self-insured basically. And so for me to look at going into a treatment center would have been 100% out of pocket. And
that's an expense most people just can't bear.
And what are you going to go to the bank and say, hey, I want to borrow $30,000 because I'm an alcoholic and I need treatment? I mean, the reality is most banks aren't falling over backwards to help somebody like that. Sure. Interestingly enough, HiLite's been able to find some banks that are, and that is a really cool thing. Because in addition to the fact that I'm passionate about my own recovery, I've been, like I said, doing it for a long time now. And I'm passionate about other people because I know how much it has changed the life for me, my life, my family's life, the impact that it's had on me. I'm actively engaged in trying to help other people, and this to me is one of the most exciting things that I've been involved in because we do have the ability to, through HiLite Pays financing program, to be able to help these folks pay for these important expenses, and in a way that's fair. I mean, it is a if they it's a less expensive option for somebody to finance this kind of care than if they were going to go with some of the traditional medical credit cards that are out there, or even try to use their own Visa account or whatever it might be. And that anything that we can do to make that kind of care more readily available, the better. There's I mean, literally, we joke in one of the meetings that I go to about the fact that, recovery, if everybody that needed to recover from alcoholism or other forms of substance use disorder were, we're in the meeting that we're in, we would have to be held in a football stadium.
Yeah, that's probably an understatement.
There's a whole lot of people out there that don't know how to access, this life-changing opportunity.
Sure.
And you guys have got a tool here that I think is really gonna help folks in that state get access to something that they really need. You're gonna save lives. So I'm really jazzed about that part of what you're doing. I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I'll say that we actually stumbled upon the recovery market, and wasn't something that we initially thought about, right? And there's just such a tremendous need for it. And I mean, it's a challenge in itself, trying to get the right lenders, trying to get the right banks that can provide funding for this type of service. There's still a stigma out there with a lot of the lenders, but we're doing our best to line up the appropriate lenders so that anybody who needs funding for recovery services, they can seek funding, and they can get funding, and they can pay off those balances at a reasonable time frame without paying an exorbitant amount of interest. So I'm excited about that too, and it's one of those areas where you don't realize how funding can help a specific area, whether it's elective surgery, but the fact that it can help the recovery market, that's tremendous, and it means a lot to us as well. So we're really excited to partner with you and really work with you on seeing some of those opportunities and helping people.
Yeah, that's great.
It's awesome. Okay, so on we talked about recovery, we talked about the medical practice side. I always love to kind of conclude the podcast with this question. Mark, what do you think the future of healthcare is, and what do you think has really the most potential to make the biggest impact?
I think this access thing that we talk about is going to become even more and more important. I'm thinking that ways that we can help. If we go to the primary care market, for instance, and we look at what's happening there, you mentioned it before. There is there appears to be a dearth of healthcare workers, having enough people available to fill the spots. And anybody that's tried to book an appointment with a primary care doctor in a new practice is, number one, if you're in a large city like I'm in, it's almost impossible to find doctors that are even able to take new clients, new patients today. And so part of that is because of the amount of time that they're spending doing the operational things that, and the reporting that they have to do, and all the stuff that's involved in every step along the way of providing medical care today, which is a very cumbersome process. I'm excited about the opportunity that there is with technology solutions to help lessen the time suck, for want of a better word, that these providers are dealing with. The hope is that they can see more patients. They can be more profitable in their businesses, so they want to stay in this business. Sure. I mean, I've got a good friend that was a primary care doctor who's now running a bicycle store. It made more sense for him with all the costs involved and the time that he was spending doing it. He wanted his life back, and he decided to go do that instead. He's opened a bicycle business, and he misses, and he's a gifted physician. He misses doing that, but at the same time, it wasn't a great life. So I'm excited about the idea. Somebody who's really been focused on helping physicians. I mean, my career has been wrapped around serving physicians and surgeons for over 35 years, and the reason I was drawn to this kind of life in the first place is I felt like it wasn't just a sales job. It was an opportunity to make an impact on patients. An opportunity to make people's lives better. And I believe the thing, what excites me right now is that I'm partnering with a number of companies like HiLite that put me in a position to be able to help to expand that access. And it's going to be necessary. It's not. We've got a long way to go to get everybody being able to get the kind of care that they need. I'm hearing about all the time about new procedures that are available to folks that insurance companies are dragging their feet on being willing to pay for, and they're life-changing procedures. If we can help make that easier and get more access for those people to get what they need, that's an exciting proposition. So I'm just really excited about what technology is offering today. There's almost a mindset that existed for a while where, that technology was taking us the wrong way. It was actually removing physicians from patient care. And in reality, now what's happened is the pendulum, in my opinion, has shifted, and technology is actually allowing the physicians to get back and do what they do best. No doctor went through all the trouble he went to get the education that he did to punch buttons and cash checks. He did it to do one thing. He came to heal people, and he or she, the more I can do to help a physician make that easier and be able to help more folks, that's something I can get very excited about.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I think that's tremendous, Mark. So if our audience wants to contact you or contact somebody from Holos, how would they go about doing that?
You can connect with me through our website, which is Holos Health, holoshealth.us. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Mark Miller, Holos. You put me in that way, you can usually find me. And you can always call the guys here at HiLite. They've got my number.
Perfect. All right, folks. So we're at the tail end of our podcast. Want to thank you for your time today. Hope you enjoyed the show and look forward to another podcast. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Bryan.
Hospitals, physician practices as well. This is what you need. This is HiLite Health. There's a problem in the system we cannot ignore. Out-of-pocket expenses for the patients has really soared, and they can't pay to balance the treatment they can't afford. HiLite Pay helps them out and more. Lets the provider automate patient collection, and we offer patient lending solution. HiLite.